Welcome, Adventure. I'm GM Goblin, your GM Goblin. And today, I'm going to tell you why Pathfinder does race better than everyone before, and currently, really. For Pathfinder 1 is where I'm coming from, but I'm going to take a look at 3.5, 5e, and a little bit into 2nd edition Pathfinder today. My history, like most people that have been around for a while, is coming back from, well, in honesty, 2nd edition, then 3rd and 3.5. But while I'm a little old school with a lot of it, some of the names have changed. So when it comes to your races nowadays, they go with lineage. A lot of verbiage. You see it actually in Pathfinder 2nd edition now too, where they try and sanitize it because I guess it offended some people. But races have always been their own specific section. You've got dwarves, elves, and you've got your half-breeds, which is your half-elf or half-elf. They're the ones we're common seeing, and they get a little more exotic depending on where you go. But they have always done this. You have your increase of stats. They try and balance this with the system. Back in 3.5, we had some books that assisted us in creating new races to try and be balanced and gave you some options. When you look at what they did with 5e to do this, because a lot of us wanted to play either a different kind of elf or maybe an elf that was raised by wood elves that were this way, you have what came out with Tasha's Cauldron when it came to 5e. And it did pretty good when it came to, we're going to make it so that you can play anything. And I actually think that's kind of what they did and kind of evolved into what they have for the 5e system was after Tasha's Cauldron. Tasha's Cauldron allowed me to not pick half-elf whenever I made someone's character because they had some of the best stats for half the classes that you were going to play. When it came to 3.5, we were a little more strict, at least at the beginning. So old school. When I was younger, it was very much, well, if you wanted your constitution, you're probably going to be a dwarf. And they eventually evolved into hill dwarf. They eventually allowed you to do monstrous races. You had things like this, which is your Arctic dwarf, which had level adjustments. Level adjustments, like a true drow, would be 1, 2, or usually 3 levels higher than other races. This would mean that in 3.5, you would be a first level fighter, a second level Arctic dwarf, because you had a level adjustment of 2, and then everyone else would be level 3, because the abilities would make up for that bonus. But here's the kicker. So in 3.5, that didn't always hold out. So a lot of it was very specifically at early levels, that extra stat bonus is a huge boon. Later on, not as much. Whenever it came to 2nd edition, we can see they've done something similar where they've renamed it for ancestries, but it kind of sticks with the Pathfinder theme where you have a little bit stronger race abilities when it comes to stats, but that's really just Pathfinder when it comes to being over either 3.5 or 5e. When it comes to Pathfinder 1e, which is my favorite, we have these race points set up to try and keep your characters within a certain degree of power. And they go through a whole system of how to actually build races. But your standard races, your weaker races, are going to be your 1 through 10. And so with your race points, generally it would be up to a GM to accommodate the difference between these races and to allow and not allow certain racial point levels. So you've got your standard. Most of the time, in all honesty, we allow advanced races, no problem. Aasimar, Tiefling are really common for people. They love them. They've loved them since 3rd edition, if not earlier, really. So that's one reason I think why they became so popular in 5e and they use so much. But one of the things that I love about Pathfinder is the customization and racial options. So you have your standard human here. Okay, you get a feat. You get this from 3rd edition. You get this from 5e. Okay, that's pretty common. You get your racial bonus per stat. Okay. Your alternate racial traits. Now, some of them do have a RP, a racial point increase, but they allow you to add things if it's cleared with your GM to your character that you normally can't, or the GM has to kind of hand wave and make it up themselves. So in 3rd edition and 5e, I am looking at stats between characters, and the math is not always going to be mathing whenever I'm allowing them to swap or change traits because they're a half dwarf or they're this or that. Maybe they were raised by a different race, that orphan child found and rescued kind of thing. Pathfinder allows you to do this. I've played with a dim dweller. Dim dweller, 2 RP points, so you've got to get that cleared with your GM. But dim dweller allows you to trade some of your skills that you have as a base human, and you gain dark vision. So a lot of these, now there's a lot that are just out even trades, and you don't have to worry about the RP increase, but dark vision is super powerful. It's something that gets me because I have a party, and there's a couple of people that never, almost always pick humans anyway, but never go with something that has dark vision. And so it's really easy to be like, oh no, your light alerts people. But I finally have a game, or one of my games going, where everyone has dark vision, so it's great. But some of them is more powerful when it comes to, or what they would consider more powerful, for an additional 4 RP points. And like I said, these are going to be dependent on your GM, but they're going to fall within the other races. So if you have a GM allowing you advanced race, so okay, maybe you can go to 11 through 20 in racial points, pick a human, grab you dim dweller and something else, and there you go. Now you have dark vision, you have that extra feat, which is the reason everyone takes human, let's be honest. And then you can grab anything else that you've got space for. So I really love, and sometimes it gets out of hand because I'm kind of a min-maxer a lot of times, but I love the differences because you've got racial subtypes, the way it's laid out. You have your favorite class bonuses, which I also love with the races, which give you that little bit of bonus. So a paladin gets a +1 for energy resistance of any one kind, max 10. And so usually it's every few levels they get something extra because they are favored in whatever class they're doing. I just think that Pathfinder, for the most part, especially when it comes to you dealing as a GM with unbalanced races, because they are unbalanced, whenever you add something like a drow and a human or an elf. So, I mean, these are a great way to allow your game to progress, and you can see the suggested racial points. And like I said, you can totally build a race, not just by using the alternate racial traits, but like this one, which is third party from Samurai Sheepdogs, half dwarf. I'm currently playing a half dwarf in a campaign that I'm running a kineticist in. I'm playing actually, this is the only campaign I'm really playing 3P anything, but I'm doing a little 3P content for my kineticist, and I'm playing a half dwarf, and this is my Mummy Mask campaign, and I'm loving it. I got to be kind of that broken half character from Two Worlds thing that I wanted, and I get to be a dwarf, which I originally was wanting to anyway, but I was going to have to trade out things to be able to make it, and this way, the one already made it for me. And I know, because it uses the same RP system, that it's basically on par with most of your average races. So, well, standard races. So I think they do better. And I'm not saying specifically, like I did in my Goblin video, that they are more in depth than other editions, than other D&D or in second edition Pathfinder. I'm not saying lore-wise specifically with races, because depending on if you're in 3.5 or if you're in 5e where they kind of forgot some stuff or they changed things, or whether you're in Pathfinder, lore is going to be a little bit different. And I do have my video on why I think goblins are better for Galorian for Pathfinder. But I just think they do races better because of your options. Because you can go in and pick an Aasimar. And not only like we had to have different races or later in options for when it comes to an Aasimar, so they were different kinds, and you can see that in 3.5, or 5th edition. 5th edition has different kinds of Aasimars, but you also get the alternate racial traits where you can change them. So not only are you looking at the different heritages between them, and this is throughout multiple races, multiple different either descendant of angelic creatures or elementals, whatever, but not only are you looking at the different heritages, it changes things out and make them different, but also, like I said, racial traits. It's just one of the things that I love, like everything with this edition, the customization, where you get what you put in. And so we can put in as much as we want. By the way, enjoy your game this week, and I'll see you around.